Mr. Speaker, I have spent most of my adult life dedicated to public service. 21 years ago, I began my work in the Congress, first as an intern in the other body for George McGovern of South Dakota, later as a staff member for Congressman Joe Moakley of Massachusetts, and now as a member of the House from Massachusetts. I am proud to serve my country. I have enormous respect for this institution, and I consider it a high honor and a great privilege to serve in this body. And I have tried, to the very best of my abilities, to uphold the great traditions of this Congress and the Constitution of the United States. Unfortunately, those traditions and that Constitution are under siege today. They are victims of an ill-timed, unfair, and partisan process that does a great disservice not only to the President of the United States, but to the people of this country. The timing of this debate is wrong. It is wrong for this Congress to publicly and purposefully attempt to weaken the Commander-in-Chief at the very moment the young men and women of our armed forces are engaged in battle. Waiting just a few days until the bombs have stopped falling would not have denied the Republican majority the opportunity to go after this president. But it would have meant a great deal, half a world away, who are putting their lives at risk for our freedom. Mr. Speaker, every American is deeply disappointed with the president's behavior. There is no debate about that. But that is not the question before us today. The question is whether or not the president's misconduct warrants tossing aside two national elections, ignoring the will of the people we represent, and cheapening the Constitution. I believe very strongly that it does not. I believe the president's behavior warrants a tough censure. But the leadership of this House, in a deliberate and cynical and partisan maneuver, has refused to allow members of Congress to even consider a censure resolution. I want to vote my conscience, not the conscience of the political arm twisters and the Republican leadership. Mr. Speaker, the American people want Congress to act on the real issues that face our country: a patient's Bill of Rights, school construction, saving Social Security. Instead, the majority in Congress will continue their partisan drumbeat of scandal, scandal, scandal. They will use the impeachment vote as a weapon to try to force the president to resign. The goal is not to conduct the business of this country. The goal is not the pursuit of justice. The goal is the elimination of Bill Clinton by any means, and that is wrong. The destructiveness, this vindictiveness, this blatant partisanship has to end. This entire process, by its inherent unfairness, has brought out the worst in members of Congress. It has made the American people feel more cynical and frustrated and powerless. Throughout our history, this Congress has risen to enormous challenges and acted with integrity. This is not one of those moments. The American people are angry because they know this process has not been fair. Regardless of their opinions of the president's actions, the people expect us to act responsibly. Vote no on these impeachment articles.